Welcome back, and joining us for a look at the day's market moving news is David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities. Thank you so much for your time, David. What has been interesting has been the move in the currency that we have seen recently. I mean, just as we thought that the rand was going to break that 18 rand level against the US dollar and go below it, it's now moving further and further away, closer to 18 rand 50 at this point. Is there anything to note about that move? Is there any fundamental added risk?
Well, it's a dollar. The dollar started to strengthen again, and I think that came after those Fed minutes that you were talking about. Concerns that the interest rates will be, in fact, the Fed, some of them were saying that it's not restrictive enough, monetary policy not restrictive, meaning that you have to tighten even more. But I don't think the market's really concerned about that, but the treasuries went up and that strengthens the dollar and we get weaker. So and what happens, the other side of it is that commodity prices come down as well. So gold goes down, platinum goes down, copper goes down, all of those go down. It's almost a trading algorithm. This is what happens. Dollar goes up, these go down, it's just the other side of the equation. So don't read too much into it. Believe me, I think in the next 6 months we will see a stronger rand. And I'm not a South African bull. I just think that global markets will start to improve, rates will start coming down, and the dollar will get slightly weaker, which is going to help commodity prices and the rand.
Well, talking about equations, Nvidia getting their equation right, because they've topped analyst estimates again. Just when you think they can't go any higher, they just keep on getting higher. More than $1,000 per share at this point. Your take?
Well, Jensen Wang, said there, he said the next industrial revolution has begun. And the next industrial revolution is really around technology rather than, as in the past, as he said, food and commodities and other things like that. And you've got to understand it. I'm battling to really get a grip of what this all means and how the chips work and how they interact. But I think, Sonati, just simply that if you own a computer today, you've got to reconstruct the whole thing. You've got to throw out your own old software and bring in new software and so on. And I think that's what, that's what's going to happen. And the Microsofts of the world, the Alphabets, and all of these, large tech companies are getting ready for it. So I can't explain it in technical terms, but this is something bigger than we can handle. And I just want to mention, have a look at Bytes.
Yes.
A very good result. Now, Bytes are really off-a-server. They're Microsoft agents.
Yeah.
Now, every one of their customers is going to want to get onto the bandwagon. So every one of the customers who uses Microsoft 365 is going to have to chuck it away and bring in the new Microsoft 365 with a Copilot and get all the data onto the cloud in a new form and so on. So it means huge amounts are going to be spent. So I use that as a small example of what's going to happen. So companies of Bytes are very well positioned for a massive transformation that's going to take place, within businesses.
Well, talking about positioning, it seems Investec is well positioned in its anchor geographies, including South Africa, with all the woes that we do have in the economy. They reported growth there from the top to the bottom line. But it seems that the share price actually didn't go in the direction of the earnings. Is there anything to note there?
Yeah, there were 46 pages of report to get through, which when you wake up in the morning and see, so do I really want to go through all of this? So I try to read through it. I found nothing wrong. And that's why I'm a little puzzled why the market responded negatively to those numbers. It might just be a one-day issue. I don't read too much into it.
Or maybe some profit taking.
Overall, it seemed to be a fairly good result. So I wouldn't read too much into the fall in the share price today.
All right. A result that didn't seem so good coming from Togosan. They released their year-end results there, saying that revenue is under pressure, the core profit margin narrowing slightly, citing the erosion of those margins because of load shedding, the cost of diesel. Of course, we did see that share price slumping 6%. Prospects not looking good at
Southern
this point.
Sun. So read that against Southern Sun yesterday, who said, thank goodness we're in the Western Cape.
Yes.
tourists are coming there, and we're well positioned for all of that, and they
Yeah.
had a good numbers. Whereas, if you look at Togo, I think some of the rural or outside of what they said, KZN, Western Cape, Gauteng, a lot of those casinos are under pressure. People are not spending. Also with load shedding was a big issue. So I think they're taking the strain of the slump in
Yeah.
infrastructure here and the problems that we have here.
Yeah,
Thank goodness
the
they're
sun.
not affected by Transnet. They
Yeah.
they don't use Transnet, but I mean, everything else they use.
Yeah, quite interesting. The sun on Soho not shining as brightly as it did on
Yeah.
Southern Sun. Let's go to your stock pick for today. David, what are you picking?
You got me by surprise. You took me off the bench to come onto this program, but I like bites. I think you
Okay.
can't ignore it. Go through those numbers,
Yeah.
understand where we are in this whole process. Look at Nvidia's results and see what is happening in that industry. And I think bites are
Okay.
really a good buy at these kind of levels. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Very interesting one there. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights and for coming in at short notice. David, appreciate it. That was David Shapiro from Sasfin Securities.